Dr. Matthew Wester is with us today. He's Director of Audiology for Ascent Audiology, which has locations in the West Valley and Glendale, Goodyear, and Surprise. Dr. Wester spent 16 years at the Mayo Clinic in addition to other posts in his education and career development. Dr. Wester, it's good to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I want to let people know that they can reach out to Ascent Audiology at 602-863-4203, 602-863-4203, or online ascentaudiologyarizona.com, and Ascent is spelled ASCENT. Dr. Wester, we've been talking about the nature of hearing loss and testing for hearing loss, but there is also the reality of the fact that people may be doing things, in some cases unwittingly, that will damage their hearing. What are some of the things that they could be doing that could actually be negatively impacting their hearing?
Well, age-related hearing loss and noise-induced hearing loss, they add together. And so age-related hearing loss is unavoidable. Noise-induced hearing loss is avoidable. So really what we're talking about is using hearing protection, and there's all sorts of hearing protection out there for any activity. So anytime someone is around guns, whether they're hunting or target shooting, anytime someone is around power tools like chainsaws, lawnmowers, leaf blowers, loud music. Most concerts are too loud. Even a band at a wedding could be too loud.
Yeah.
So even if you're not a concert goer, you might be exposed to loud noise. And so noise-induced hearing loss is you recover from some of it after you've been exposed to noise, but there's always a little bit that's permanent, and that can add up over a lifetime. So noise-induced hearing loss could be a firecracker by your ear when you were 6 years old. That could be the start of it, but you might not notice that for decades. So it is important that people are aware of what's dangerously loud noises and protect their hearing adequately. So for example, if you're hunting, there's special earplugs that clamp down when your gun goes off, and you're not going to be firing your gun over and over and over when you're hunting, and you need to hear stuff when you're not firing the gun. So there's special plugs for hunting, shooting. If you're at a shooting range and your gun's going off a lot, and then there's people next to you shooting as well, that's a whole nother kind of hearing protection, and especially if it's an indoor shooting range. So even one time at a shooting range can do a lot of damage to someone's ear, and I've seen unfortunate cases like that. With shooting ranges, we recommend that you wear 2 layers of hearing protection. So that'd be an earplug down in your ear and then muffs over the top. That's the only really safe way to be sure that you're not doing more damage to your hearing from loud noises. But other things that might not be painfully loud, like a lawnmower or a leaf blower, those can also be damaging to hearing. So what's uncomfortably loud is not a good measure of what's dangerously loud. So if you have to shout to be heard over it, if it's a band at the wedding and you're shouting to be heard over them, that's too loud. If you're not in it for too long, it probably won't do a lot of damage. The longer you're in noise, the more damage it does.
Wow. So, yeah, we always will hear people say when there is an eclipse, for instance, don't look right at it. But the reality of it is that these one-off incidents over the course of a lifetime could be cumulative.
Yeah, they are cumulative, definitely.
Now, the other thing is, we are men. And men like to do the tough macho thing. And I don't need a suppressor. I'm fine. But is it something that there is a tendency on the part of people to think, I don't need that. I'll just I'm fine. I'll just tough it through.
Yeah.
And while they have that mentality, how much damage are they doing to it? Let's say you go to the shooting range once a month, and you do that for 5 years. How much cumulative effect on your hearing could there be?
Well, every person is different and their genetics and anatomy is different, so it ranges. But you could lose almost all your hearing in the high pitches. So you might be able to hear vowels normally and not be able to hear the consonants at all. And that the more hearing loss there is, the harder it is to treat it and the less effective the treatments are. One of the things I like to explain to patients when I'm talking about treating hearing loss, which is primarily using hearing aids, is that hearing aids are an aid. Hearing loss is a disability. Hearing loss restricts your participation in certain activities. An example would be, I can't really go to that noisy restaurant and have a satisfying conversation anymore. I have to pick a different restaurant, or I have to go at a different time when it's not busy, or I have to go with less people in order to be able to have a conversation. So that's a disability, and disabilities require accommodation. And so part of accommodation is a device, and a hearing aid is a device for treating hearing loss, but that's not the only accommodation that's needed. The more damage there is, the harder it is for a hearing aid to solve the problem, and the more dependent people are on other accommodations, like I need the room to be quiet in order to understand, I need people to talk slower and more clearly, and I need to see people's faces. Those are typical accommodations. So I like to use an analogy with a wheelchair. A wheelchair is an important device. It's essential for people who have a mobility issue, but they still can't get into that building if that building doesn't have a ramp. If someone has a walker, it doesn't mean they can go down a mountain trail. It doesn't mean they can go on the beach. It doesn't mean they can go on loose gravel. So even with all these devices that accommodate disabilities, they still have to be used in the right environment. The longer you let noise damage happen, the longer you put off treating hearing loss, the less satisfying the device can be to solving that problem, and the more you depend on external forces or external environmental situations, like how noisy it is, am I sitting close enough to someone, can I see their face, can I get them to talk more slowly. All of that goes better if people start treating their hearing loss sooner. So untreated hearing loss can put you in a hole that's pretty hard to get out of if you let it get real bad.
That's the fascinating thing. We were talking before about how there is an emphasis on your eyes. People wear glasses or contacts, and so they know that they've got to go in every couple of years, or when they start to feel like their current vision prescription is not doing the job. So people get that, but the hearing loss I'll ask you this question, tagged on to another question. I'm going to get two for the price of one here. But the hearing loss, is it really, you were talking about how the brain fills in the blanks too. Mm-hmm. The hearing loss, is it something that is less obvious to people, at least at the earliest stages of it?
I believe so.
And then the second element of that is, we don't really do a very good job as a society to caution people away from gunshots or lawnmowers, or somebody might be working in a machine shop with pneumatic drills and things like that. We really don't do a very good job of letting people know how much they might be exposed to.
Yeah. Public awareness is really important, and that's part of why we do things like this.
Dr. Matthew Wester is with us. He is a doctor of audiology, and he was with Ascent Audiology, which has 3 locations in the West Valley in Glendale, Goodyear, and Surprise. You can reach Ascent Audiology at 602-863-4203, 602-863-4203. Find them online at AscentAudiologyArizona.com, and Ascent is spelled ASCENT.